There's a big difference between being famous and being influential. LeBron James is famous, worldwide famous. But is anyone going to go out to the polls and vote for Kamala Harris because of him? Right. No, that's why they said shut up and dribble.
It's harder to build up an audience on YouTube because they do not credit you for pandering. TikTok will give you 8 million followers if you pander to women.
The most evil bastards on planet Earth are on that platform, man.
There are like hundreds, if not thousands, of people who listen to The Crucible who'll be in there at every moment of every day debating.
At every moment of every day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, there's somebody in the Crucible who's in there on a panel debating.
So let's talk about the spectrum of social media platforms. I would say TikTok probably the furthest to the left, and like say Rumble and Twitter furthest to the right, or YouTube I think is a little bit further to the right than say Instagram. You'll see it's harder to build up an audience on YouTube because they do not credit you for pandering. TikTok will give you 8 million followers if you pander to women because 85% of consumer transactions are female. TikTok shop is massive. So TikTok, hey, you can't even use my name as a hashtag. I'm nobody. I'm about as moderate as you can get. I had like 70 million views on there, whatever. And then they took my name off. You cannot look up you can't use my name as a hashtag anymore.
Yeah, conservatives cannot exist on TikTok.
Correct. So
only Charlie Kirk was able to do it. And that's because he had a rep there. They knew him.
Yeah.
He was with the Trump team, but I have never seen a conservative exist. Are you on this?
Well,
an actual account?
I have not been banned from TikTok, but it's because I don't do traditional TikTok content. Let's put it that way. But yes, I do very well on TikTok, but
you don't post reels.
I don't. Not only do I not post reels, I don't do lives. I don't do any of this. What I do is go into where their panels are and fucking decimate them, and so does the Crucible crew. And
haven't you had a bunch of accounts taken down though for doing that? No.
My main account has not been banned.
Okay.
That's impressive. I've been like 5 times.
So you don't post content. You go in there and
I
you
never
use it
post
to
content.
Facilitate debate. That's different.
So the thing is like there is a way to do it. You just have to be really smart about it. But ultimately, he's right. Sartain is right. TikTok is the furthest left, most evil, mechanized, fucking horrible piece of shit on planet Earth.
And Twitch.
And we've been literally, the Crucible has been fighting them back like crazy. I mean, you've seen the TikTok invasions. Yeah. We're always in there warring with the fucking TikTokers and trying to
hold. You use it as a portal to debate them. You're not
we're trying to hold. Yeah, we're trying to hold the tide back, right? Yeah. That's the whole point, because the most evil bastards on planet Earth are on that platform, man.
And
the
now
most evil bastards.
So now there are like hundreds, if not thousands, of people who listen to The Crucible who will be in there at every moment of every day debating these people.
At every moment of every day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, there's somebody in The Crucible who's in there on a panel debating.
Yeah, this is also when you look at certain women panders like say Chris GQ Perry or Derek Jackson or something like that, they will destroy on TikTok and they will do nothing on YouTube. Right. Because on YouTube, if you want to see if you have influence, getting someone to watch a 3-hour podcast that you do or a 3-hour live stream, that's influence. Someone is willing to actually sacrifice to listen to what you're doing. If you want someone to watch a 15-second clip, that's fame. That's definitely fame, but it's not influence. And so I think that's a massive difference. Whenever I talk to someone, I always check how strong are they on these different platforms. And I can tell if you're crushing it on Instagram and you're crushing it on TikTok, but you're not doing well on X and you're not doing well on YouTube, I can tell that you pander to your audience and you don't have a ton of influence, but you may have a great deal of fame. And the other thing I want to,
we're massive on YouTube. Yeah. That's where we get to do everything.
I want to point out one other thing. He's actually politically progressive. I don't know if you guys know who Jonathan Haidt is. He wrote a fantastic book called The Happiness Hypothesis, and another one, I can't remember, The Coddling of the American Mind. He has a terrific book that's just come out, and it's called The Anxious Generation. Yeah. And in this book, he goes over, and this is the reason why I want to bring it up, because this is something that I think would help all of us, and it's on the forefront. It's cutting edge legislation, and that is to ban cell phones in junior highs and high school, make it federal legislation that they are banned, because the studies that show what happens to children when they have the access to social media through puberty, when their brain is forming, it creates basically what you see now. ADHD, high levels of narcissism, high levels of neuroticism, high levels of anxiousness. That's what's going on. And I've gotten to the point where when I talk to a girl, I ask her, when did you get your cell phone? Like that is a very important thing. If a girl says, my mom gave me a cell phone at 12. I'm like, I already know I'm dealing with an anxious, neurotic human being, most likely. And so the thing is, this is one of the reasons why I think Jonathan Haidt isn't as popular as he is. And the same thing with Richard Reeves. They are liberals, basically supporting a conservative narrative. And in doing so, that's like Richard Reeves he's a really, really good writer, but like he doesn't have have you noticed how he barely gets any?
Oh, he has no play.
He has no play at all. Why? Is because he's a liberal writing about supporting conservatives when he goes about of boys and men failing. And so the same situation here. I think this is a big deal where I would very much support legislation to get these cell phones out of high school and out of
Jonathan Haidt. He's exceptionally popular amongst like the classic
smartphones,
liberals.
Yeah,
like,
smartphones. Well,
like flip phones, not a big deal. As long as they can't
access social media. Yeah,
I think that's a great fucking idea.
No, I agree because like we're older, so we don't know what it's like to have an iPhone at fucking 10 years old.
Yeah,
like I can't even imagine. I didn't get a cell phone and I had a flip phone until I was 18.
Yeah,
so like.
I knew I was dumb. I can look back now and say how dumb I would have been at 14 having unlimited access to pornography on my phone.
Yeah,
I know I'm stupid enough to do.
And I notice this when I like meet younger guys, like they're really socially awkward.
Yes.
Right. Because I go to like a lot of these political events and meet these guys in person. A lot of them are socially awkward, timid, shy. They don't look you in the eye when you speak to them. Like a lot of like these weird character traits that are indicative of someone that's extremely reclusive. And that comes from like, the cell phone, and we don't bully people anymore. That's another thing too. Right. I remember when you were socially awkward like that growing up, you're a fucking weirdo. What's wrong with you? And that would make you, oh shit, I got to like acclimate. So we remove bullying. People are dumber. They're more anxious, etc. I agree with that, man, because I've seen this with younger people. Younger people are dumber than I think our generation was.
Here's the
Jake's
irony.
A fucking bully.
Yeah,
he's a fucking bully.
Here's the irony. He's a political progressive, and he's talking about this. And then who's he going up against? Who's saying that social media is not bad for kids? The social media companies, which are then owned by liberals. Yeah. It's become they're eating themselves. It's a crazy thing because Zuckerberg he met Jonathan Haidt and he was kind of upset with him. He was very short with him. He was like, I don't agree with your data. I don't agree with your studies or whatever. But it's blatantly obvious the difference between this generation now and my generation that used to bench press, play middle linebacker, and get into a fucking fist fight in high school, and none of that happens anymore.
Yeah, but Mike, I reckon it's even way worse. Like you've got kids now who are 2-3 years old who are literally glued to iPads.
Yes,
I've seen this, and if you take the iPad away from them, they start screaming and crying.
Yeah,
this is when your brain is the most plastic, when you're in your very early formative years.
Well, and parents just want to use those devices as like a pacifier, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It doesn't parenting.
Yeah, I've always noticed it's like fat parents will do that. If I see two fat parents, they've got their kid at the table.
When you guys walk lazy. When you walk through the airport tomorrow,
and I want to add something to your TikTok thing. Because this is something I noticed too, because I've done collabs with so many different people from different spectrums. And what I've realized is like with TikTok, like TikTok and Instagram is like dominated by females.
Yes.
Right. And they can only dominate really there. What I've noticed is influence goes like it'll translate the longer form of your content. So in other words, if you're big, like if you're a big streamer or like you're on YouTube and you do longer form content and people are watching you for 15, 20 minutes, hour plus, that will translate back towards Instagram and TikTok. People will gladly watch your clips and shorts, but it doesn't work the other way around. And this is where a lot of female influencers fail, like what you were saying, because they're big on TikTok, big on Instagram. They could do some dancing, do some dumb shit, but they aren't really engaging past that. So their YouTube suck, right? Or when they stream, their streams suck. And there's not many females that are like, very successful streamers unless I've seen them leech off of men.
Yeah.
That's why some of these female streamers will pair up with a Neon or pair up with one of these with these guys because they suck. Nobody wants to watch them. So they have to leech off of men for longer.
Boy, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So the thing you mentioned before, and Alex Hormozi made a great video about this, was the difference between fame and influence. So, and I'll use this example. Alex Hormozi and Brittany Renner are about as famous as one another. Alex Hormozi can fill up a room with 10,000 people. Brittany Renner looks like an idiot talking about having sex with 3 people at the same time. She's famous, and they confuse one for the other. We had a discussion a while ago about female Instagram models, whatever, trying to start their own podcast and how it would repeatedly fail over and over again because they had
fucking idiots.
Exactly, because they had fame, but they did not have influence.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I think it kind of gets lost, and it's frustrating, right? As a content
we saw
creator
that in an election in 2024.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kamala Harris, A-list celebrities, LeBron James, Taylor Swift, A-list celebrities that acted. But you're right, they don't have influence.
But
Trump
Myron had some influence.
Hey, I tried, man. I was telling everybody because we have a decent amount of because like I did my like a little analytic of my audience. It's white, Hispanic, blacks are the top
Yeah.
3. Almost 50% of my audience is Hispanic, actually.
Yeah.
Those beaners. So I was like, yo, you guys got to get out there and vote. And I was telling everyone hard in 2024. We got to get out there and vote for Trump. We got to get out there and vote for Trump. I'm going out there. You got to get out there and vote for Trump because I knew, like, if Kamala got in, we already endured a whole bunch of censorship. It was only going to get worse with her.
Yeah.
So I was like, we got to get out there and vote. And then obviously we're in the middle of 2 wars. The economy sucked. All this stuff. Immigration was going nuts. So,
and you also, like, can we just be real?
Yeah.
You also just didn't want a woman president.
Yeah, that's actually the number one reason.
You just didn't want a woman president.
Yeah, I just didn't want a female president either. That was a big one.
Those are the classic TikTok invasions when before the election when we go in there like, so why do you want Trump to get elected? Because I don't want to.
I don't want a woman president.
Traditional celebrities,
annoying voice.
And I realize this because I want to add to what you're saying because what you're saying is profound, and I think people need to understand this. And I'm glad that you said it because there's a big difference between being famous and being influential. Like LeBron James is famous, worldwide famous. But is anyone going to go out to the polls and vote for Kamala Harris because of him? Right. No. That's why they said shut up and fucking dribble. That's what they meant by that. Like, you are a basketball player. People know you for what you do, but you're not really influential. And this is why Donald Trump doing the press run that he did with social media versus Kamala Harris getting traditional celebrities to endorse her is a failed way. Correct. Because you're right. Like, especially in the new age of social media where people are more relatable to influencers than these A-list celebrities. Yeah,